Hello, I'm Helen Sadler, your Destiny Helper. I appreciate coming to you on this forum, speaking of the things that you're writing to me about, saying that you would like to know more information about certain things. It is a good pleasure to come to you with this information that has liberated many of you, that has strengthened many of you, that have given answers to some of the things that you are going through. Many of you have been going through for years and you knew something was different. You just didn't know what. You didn't have a name for it. And I'm glad this program and other programs are being of strength to you, giving you the information that you need to strengthen your authentic self, to bring you back to your authentic self, because you're very powerful. But if you don't know that, you cannot utilize this power. On the last video, I was talking about the somatic narcissist. Now we're going to talk about the cerebral narcissist, and I want to give way to each program to talk about these different types of narcissists. The different types of narcissists can carry over into the different grades of narcissists, whether they are overt narcissist, covert narcissist, or it can go to the different classes, whether it's a grade of narcissist, or it is a mid-grade narcissist, or it is a lower grade, or a lower mid-grade narcissist. Each one of these narcissists are characterized by different behaviors, even though some behaviors can overlap. Well, we're talking about the cerebral narcissist. The cerebral narcissist can be very, very, very dangerous. Not as dangerous as the malignant narcissist, even though all narcissists MPD have some malignancy to it. The cerebral narcissist is your thinker. They calculate, they ponder, they construct mentally to harass you mentally. They are about the mind. These are avid readers. They read all the time. They research all the time. They have the grandiosity mindset with intellect. They are not sexually prowlers. They cannot, you cannot use sex against them because that is not their interest. And a lot of narcissists will literally allow, they're not like the somatic narcissist that is cognizant of their body, that think about their body. They are not engrossed with how they look, but they are engrossed with the intellect. They are engrossed with the mind, and they harass the mind. The narcissist that is cerebral thinks that there's no one greater in intellectual prowess than them. Where the somatic narcissists go sexual and physical, the cerebral narcissists stay in that higher mindset, and they cultivate their mind. They build their mind like the somatic narcissists build their body. The cerebral narcissists build their mind. And that's why when you live with them, you feel this sense of presence about them, like you always being watched, because they're always pondering, they're always calculating, they're very calculative of your next move. You're married to them, and they can go 6 months without sex. They can go a year without sex. You can go Fredericks of Hollywood. You can go Victoria's Secret. You can buy the best lingerie. They're not moved by it. You can lotion yourself, oil yourself down, walk through the house and let them smell the fragrance, and you're in your birthday suit. They are not moved. They are not stimulated sexually unless it's for their benefit. There are some narcissists that have been in sexless marriage. They have not touched their spouse in years, some of them, until their body can no longer respond sexually because they've been inactive. And their mindset, and some cerebral narcissists actually think as sexual temptation, sexual flirtation as lewd. I mean, it nauseates them. They don't want it. They want to interact with you cerebrally to challenge you, to devalue you, to overthrow you, and to confirm their sense of intellectual perfection. Because you got to remember the narcissist has this gaping hole on the inside of them. They're never satisfied. That's why they're constantly harassing you in the relationship. They're constantly devalue you in the relationship. They get flying monkeys. They get the narcissistic fleas. It is really crazy to the different extent that they will go through. That cerebral narcissist is not in the gym, they are in a book. So if you're with a cerebral narcissist, you almost feel helpless, because no matter what you say, no matter what ideas you come up with, they hammer that idea down. And they have studied the mind. Many of them have studied the mind, studied the body. They will read medical journals. They will read financial journals. And because they are intellectual, many people are impressed by them. They can go covert or they can go overt. There are some overt narcissists. They're loud. They let you know what they are, and they don't make no beef about their intellect. Then you got your covert, which is even more dangerous because they are hard to spot. And they're hard to spot because they integrate and weave themselves in and out of the human arena. And their mindset, they take and learn mindset. They read the codes of your frequency that you give off. All narcissists do, but the cerebral go to the level of intellect. They ask questions so they can evaluate your intellect. And if you seem slow, you seem that you can't comprehend quickly, they just come in and bash you. And the cerebral hate to be challenged. They hate to be challenged intellectually, because intellectually they believe that they're perfect. They believe there's no flaw in their mind. And the cerebral narcissist does not necessarily mean they're at an intellectual height. Some of them are just pseudo. They think their intellectualism is pseudo. They have experience and they utilize that and make them think they're smart, because the trait of a narcissist is they over exalt themselves. So when you put that with a cerebral narcissist that over exalt themselves, they're already in the mind, even though they may not be educated. They may not have a college degree, but they will take whatever experience they have and put that on the shelf of intellectualism, and they will mantle it there. And when they mantle it there, they take that mantle and they expose it, they flaunt it with whoever they're with. Where if you happen to be married to a cerebral narcissist, there is a lot of emotional trepidation because they're not into it. They don't feed you emotionally. Where you get your somatic, they come in and try to be romantic. They try to make you thirsty for them because they cater to your emotion. They cater to the romantic side of you. The cerebral narcissist could care less. They're totally mechanic. It's like being with an android. And when they are making love with you, they can think about something else. Or if they want to make love to you in the middle of making love to you and they want to drink a water, they keep making love to you, drink the water, and keep on going. Why? Because it's not for them, it's for you. And most of them have studied the body. They studied how the body works. They studied the sensation of the body, and they practice it because they want to perfect it, not because they really love it. Because most cerebral narcissists are tremendous masturbators, because it takes less time to masturbate than to interact with you. Even being married, they will masturbate. They will not touch you and masturbate because you take too much energy away from them in something that they're not interested in. They don't want to have sex. They want to get into your mind. They have goals. Most of them go up the hierarchy in the business world, in the marketplace, in the financial world, because they are pursuers. They are very aggressive. They're very competitive. And when these narcissists compete, they compete intellectually. So if they want to get wealthy, they study wealth. They are absorbed. And these people people, they have a tendency to give themselves totally into whatever they are in. When they are reading, when they are researching, when they are on the internet, you usually do not catch them on porn sites unless there's something they need something out of a specimen. And most narcissists will study their specimen before they ever approach. So 9 times out of 10, when the narcissists get to you, they've studied your Facebook page, they've studied your Instagram, they've studied whatever media site that you're on. They will go through your LinkedIn. They will just study it. They will even make a comment as a friend and see how you respond to that comment. Well, the cerebral narcissist engages in everything about you because they're going to enter your intellect like a storm wind. You're not going to know what hit you because they're very impressive. They're very calculative. They're very meticulous about a mindset, because this mindset is their prize. This mindset is their game. This mindset and how they play with your mind is dictatorial of their prowessness, their statuettes. And so they will get into your mind and totally ravish your mind. The love bombing of a cerebral is really different. And the reason is really different because the love bombing of the cerebral, he usually connect with what he wants to grow in himself. And if he wants to grow his intelligence, he connect with what he wants to grow. So he finds a super intelligent person. And if his finances with intelligence, he goes after the super wealthy. And remember, the cerebral, most of them end up in the greater narcissist statue because they are cerebral and they give themselves over to study. Many of them are in colleges. They educate themselves tremendously. When you find them in the church, they are hierarchy, bishop, apostles, popes, priests. And so you find them in this arena because they give themselves. It's like giving yourself to a business and you're really disciplined in that business begin to grow. It begin to take on expansion because you're dedicated to the cause. And this what it is with a cerebral narcissist. They're dedicated to the cause. The cerebral narcissist will study you, and it feels eerie sometimes around them. It feels like a presence is with them. And when they are not there, it feels like something is still watching you, because the cerebral narcissist is a watcher. The cerebral narcissist is a mental or intellectual tracker. The cerebral narcissist is a scanner. They will scan your history to bring you to a present tense, and then they would put a tracking mechanism to find out your pattern of thinking. They like overthrow, hostile overthrow. And that's why with a cerebral narcissist, your mind feel like it has went through a chopping block, feel like you have went through a slaughterhouse. You notice that your mind starts slowing down, and it's like things are going in slow motion when you are dealing with a cerebral narcissist, because they clamp down on the mind. Their whole intent is your mind. They are after your mind, and they make you want them, and you are so thirsty after them because they're not sexually engaged until they built themselves up in your mind, until when you do come together, I mean, it's orgasmic almost immediately. It's not who they are, it's what they built inside of you. They know the difference between when your intellect, which are your thoughts, are at work. They know the difference when your emotions has engaged. Then they know when you are in a reasoning mechanism. Your reasoning is what excuse them. Your reasoning, even though you see them and you know what they're doing, they may be even flirting with your child or their child. They may be incestuous, but they tell you that it is something that they need. They're not incestuous because they need sex. They're incestuous because they're messing with your head. And when they go in there and you allow that, you get into your reasoning, well, this happened because of this. You know you should take immediate action. But in order not to take immediate action, you're going to have to excuse that act. You're going to have to excuse when they devalue you and degrade you in public, when they are taking and cursing you out and cussing you, because some of them go to the dark art. They studied the black magic. And if you have a religious cerebral narcissist, they have a tendency to be good instructors. And because most Christians don't know the difference between entertainment, they don't know the difference between intellectualism, they don't know the difference between anointing. When that anointing come in and empower or release, they don't know the difference. So they accept the intellectual of teaching the word of God, which is the logos, and everybody can read the word and they can break down words and they can tell you what they think, but it's not God inspires, it's intellectually inspired. And most of the cerebral, they love certain part of business, they really love the church, because most Christians or whatever, sometimes they go over into Shintoism, they may go over into Muslim, and these different religions they engage, because remember they study or becoming a Jehovah's Witness, and then they are intellectually prowess, where a lot of these religions are stimulated intellectually, stimulated emotionally, and that's where they go, because you would not challenge them, because you have been taught not to necessarily challenge the hierarchy, because they know what they're talking about. But if you know your word, if you know what your manuals say, you'll know the module of those words coming out. And most of them won't challenge, because the narcissists go after the will. Most narcissists gonna go after your will to tear down that will, and they'll get away with anything, because instead of emotionally feeling that, you're going to reason it so you can have the emotions that you want attached to your sense of reason instead of wisdom, because wisdom a lot of time will reveal the truth. It will expose the truth and it'll lay it down. Now you have to make a final decision with the wisdom that is given. What are you going to do with this information? How are you going to handle this information? Will you change? Will you stay? Will you leave? Will you expand? All of that is left up to you with the cerebral narcissist. And the cerebral narcissist can be cold. I mean, they have a tendency to just go to silent treatment. They don't want to talk to you, because after being with you a while, they think that you are beneath their conversation. You are beneath their time. You are beneath their intellect. So you are married to someone who's in silence, someone who's ghosting, and it's ghastly to you. And then you start questioning, what is wrong with me? Why are they're not attracted to me? You change your hair, you change. Most narcissists don't care how you look. That's the somatic. They care how you look because you're a trophy. They don't care how you look because you look good, because you never look better than them. You just a trophy, and they want everybody to see their trophies. And a lot of times in the cerebral narcissists were married, they don't love you, so they don't marry for love. They marry because most of them think they're sociopaths, that something is wrong with them. And usually a lot of them are antisocial, because they mate with their books. They love their books. They love bomb their books. They are connected with their books. And that's the love of their life. It's not the love of their life. It's the commitment of their life. Because you feel like you're with this android. You touch them and it's just metal. Their body is metal. Because their mind has disconnected from you. They no longer think that you're worth their time. So they devalue you. And then all narcissists go to the word salad. You talk to them about something, they do not not answer direct answer. They take you roundabout, and they eventually you get away from the subject. And when you bring the subject back, you just go round and round and round. You word salad. They never ever get to the point. And then after a while, you don't forgot what the point is. And then 2 days later, you come up with it. And when you bring it back to them, they say, "Oh, I done moved on from that." You still stuck with that. That's the problem. You never know how to let things go. It is intentional. These creatures know how to bombard your mind. They know how to synchronize it to a certain time and drop the ball and leave. When you have an idea, or when you have a thought and that thought is dropped, you are dropped. Your whole body drops with the thought. And if you are dropped, abandonment. What is the emotion of abandonment? Insecure, being unwanted, being unloved, being uncared for, being it's like you are in the way. And when you got somebody that's supposed to love you and you feel like you're in the way, you will find yourself unconsciously moving yourself out the way, unconsciously sabotaging, because you're trying to make sure you are seen. And it's like a child who think they're invisible. They start doing crazy things to say, "Hey, I'm here. Please notice me." Even if it's negative, they like, at least they notice me. They get a timeout or whatever, but they got noticed. That is your narc, and you doing things to get noticed. The cerebral narcissists care about information, care about knowledge, and you know that, so you read books so you can talk. But they feel challenged in you reading books. They feel challenged in you talking, because now they're thinking, "Oh, you think you can outthink me? You think you know more about that subject than me? You are stupid. You will never know more than I know. You are so dumb to even challenge me. You trying to control my mind. You won't even give my mind time to think. You weary me. This is why I stay away from you. This is why I leave." And then you keep saying, "I know you seeing somebody else." Some cerebral narcissists can be with one person for a time being. And when they go out, the sex, remember with the cerebral, the sex is never because of temptation. They utilize the sex to get the specimen, because the cerebral needs copious amount of fuel in a different way. And see, one thing about it, when you get hurt, what do? Shut down your mind. When you get hurt, what do? Shut down your thoughts. And so that's what the cerebral needs you to keep it up. The other narcissists don't necessarily need you to be there or to keep up your intellect, because they can get negative thought fuel. But the cerebral want your mind going. And when they break down your mind, all of this negative words fuel them. See, I told you I was more intellectual. I told you that I can outthink you. That's why you people are so dumb. And you should feel fortunate to have me. I wouldn't even be interested in you. You should feel blessed that I gave you my time. I even married you. You are sorry. Nobody else would have wanted you. I don't know why I'm wasting my time. And I mean, you are married. You are dedicated to the marriage. You are devoted to the marriage. The marriage is sexless. So you tell the cerebral, "I'm leaving. I'm done with this." When you go to the cerebral and say you done, boom, they start calculating. That's the best sex you ever had. Why? Because he needs to keep you on the hook, because he got to feed his mind. And if you notice a cerebral, they would just eat and eat and eat and get fat and sloppy, so you won't want them anymore. You'll stay away from them sexually. And when you divorce a cerebral, the cerebral, if necessary, will lose all of that weight. He's not somatic, because the weight has nothing to do with pulling other than the intellect, but he will present himself so he can pull the intellect. And one thing about the cerebral, they're the ones that goes to the parties, that goes to the meeting. Everyone is impressed with them because of their mind. They're so knowledgeable, and they're very varied in the information they know, because they read all the time. So when you start to complain, people are looking at you like the stuff they know. And then especially if they're high in business, and the cerebral, to keep you out of the way, the cerebral let you spend money. He will let you spend the money he'll allow you to spend. He will let you spend it. What? To keep you out of the way. Because the cerebral is locked into a phase of accomplishment. The cerebral is locked into a phase of growth. And they don't want you messing with them in the time of growth. Come on. But the cerebral, when you get out of line, they know how to pull you in line, because they lock down systems in your mind. But because your mind is locked down, the body responds. So you notice physiological things that are going on not right in your body because your mind is on lockdown. And then the narcissist come and open that mind back up. It's like he has the key to your head. He has the key to your thoughts. He know how to open the thoughts up. He know how to close the thoughts down. And you don't even, now you got to the point where you almost feel like mind control. You feel like they're controlling your mind. They're controlling your thoughts, and they can almost tell you. A cerebral narcissist is almost like a palm reader. They can tell you your next thought. Oh, I wouldn't think that if I was you. I wouldn't do that if I was you. I wouldn't make that call if I was you. Why? Because they study. They study you like a laboratory animal. They make great scientists, great accountants, great in politics, because especially when you have your covert narcissist that goes undercover, they really sweet and nice and cerebral. Put that together. Then your overt, now your overt cause fear in the people, and they are so intellectually prowess, and then they intimidated. And these people are intimidated because they know so much, and it seems like they can read your mind until you are afraid to move without them. This is why you get a lot of game masters that take and dominate strong people, and you wonder how that little person dominate, because the way they think and being intellectual, they get in the mind, and when they get in the mind, they cause fear because they got a presence with them. Remember this watchers, and I mean their narcissistic stare penetrates, like it goes into your mind and pull tools out and start uprooting things and putting what they want, that transcription, putting in what they want in your mind, and it will never be on the intellectual level that you want it. So the intellectual narcissist is always there to make sure that you are not sure, to make sure that you doubt yourself, to make sure that you, and what they do is build you up so sexually until you die. Because when you're in the marriage and you are not being fed in every arena, you go and look for that. And sometimes the narcissist will purposefully drive you to an affair and hold that affair over you, because he said that I'm going to take the children because you committed an affair. You abandoned me because you are so confused and you are so thirsty for a touch, a hold, a kiss, until, and especially Christians, this cerebral will cause you to compromise your standard. You're giving up your standard because of what you feel. They're pulling out. Come on here. They're pulling that emotion out, and you are feeling all this. Give him something he can feel. Life is not by feelings, because feelings can change. But the narcissist don't want you in the strength of you. He wants you into the insecurity place, the negative place. They are hard to overthrow because they keep you so busy doing for them and using the children and using the situation. So you don't have time to feed your mind, and you don't have time to cater to your dreams. You don't have time to fulfill your goals. If you do this over a period of time, you have trained yourself to live a goalless life, a life without assignment other than your life assigned to the narcissist. They are dictatorial of your every moment, your every thought. The narcissist wants your thoughts. He wants to be your puppet master, but he wants to be the puppet master of the mind. When you have children, He wants to relish the children in the books. He wants them to go to the best school, but going to the best school is good. Being in books is good, but he's a tyrant. He's Pharaoh with a whip to make their mind work, because whatever their intellect is, it's an imagery of him. It's an extension of him, and because he feels that he's intellectual prowess in every arena. He's very knowledge in many arenas. When something comes up, if you don't know anything about it, boom, you are now in silent treatment because he studied it. Every time he gets an assignment, you know that you are going to be pushed away. You know that you're going to be abandoned. He keep you on the hook long enough to wheel you in, and then when he wheel you in, he separate the hook from you, and then you jump back in looking for other fish, and he pulls you back in with a bait, because the cerebral narcissist know it is not easy for long-term supply. And that's in every instance with the overt, covert, cerebral, malignant, somatic. They know that it is not easy to pull in intellectually what you want. That's why most other cerebrals use sex, they use money, they use gifts. And the cerebral only in the love bombing. And after the love bombing, that's all void, because that's not in their head, that's not in their mind. And most of the time they can go sexless. So if you want to withhold sex from a cerebral narcissist, you're actually doing them a favor, because they are just totally repulsed by having sex sometime. And some of them even said that while they're in the act, they feel like they need to regurgitate because they don't want it. It makes them just feel like they just being raped while they're making love to you. It's not love while they're having sex with you. And while they're having sex with you, they feel like they're being stripped, because that's not what gets them. It's intellectualism. And their circle is intellectual. Their circle have a strong mind. Their circle, that's why a lot of them go to greater narcissists, because their circle is prominent. Their circle is from the higher echelon. The circle is from the cream of the crop. And that's why they bring you into protocol in different stasis, because they want to make sure you go along with their program. You know, in their program, they got a program when they bring you outside your exposure to their friends. Then they got a program where they bring you home. Just shut up and be quiet and let my mind study. So the cerebral is just that. They are about the mind, and you could capture them with the love bombing. Now you don't even get the bronze love bombing, which is just the bottom of the totem pole. You are there, and you don't know how to pull them in because they're so varied in their knowledge. Many of them could be stoic, rude, careless. They don't care. And someone will tell you to leave because they want to give themselves to their mind. And that's why many of them go to the dark realm, because many of them take their mind to places they shouldn't be there. And that's why the watcher, which is the cerebral narcissist, the watcher is always watching. And even when they look at you, you feel like there's a monster looking at you. They are so cold. And you touch them, it's almost like they're pasty and cold. And narcissists have a tendency to be very patterned. You could track them, very mechanical, because they hate change. And when they institute change, it's what they mirror. Their change is mirroring evidence they've been with someone else, evidence they've connected to someone else. And they bring that something that they've been with back to you, which is the long-term supply. You are the wife. To them, you are the long-term supply. You still workable, so you haven't broke down. And there is no warranty on this relationship. None. Well, I hope I've answered some questions that you have asked about the cerebral narcissist. You know, I've put on 90s. I bought her flowers. Why can't I bend her? You're trying to bend her in the wrong arena. They're not impressed with how you look. A cerebral narcissist will get a woman 600 pounds, will get a man 600 pounds because they are not about the sex and look. They're about the mind. And that's why you can see this handsome narcissist with something and you looking like, what are you doing with her? Because she feeds his mind. She stimulates his mind. And as long as she stimulates his mind, she can look like a bulldog riding on the skateboard for a car. He would take a ride because his whole onslaught is the mindset, not the body set. Get out of your body set when you're dealing with a cerebral narcissist and build your mind, because you need to do that anyway with any narcissist, especially with a cerebral, because his attack is different from other attacks. All narcissists will try to get in your head, but to get into your emotion. Cerebral wants your intellect tore down, cast down. He wants system failure in the realm of intellect. Upload your system with affirmations. Let your mouth, let your ear hear your mouth say who you are. Put it on the phone. Tape your affirmation. You are powerful. You can think. Your memory is strong. You are loved. You have goals. You have a future. And play it all day. Listen to it all day. And you say, I don't believe it. Yeah, but if you keep listening to it, you will believe it. You will act on what you believe. You just need to keep listening to it. The cerebral is just that. He's a narcissist, but he's cerebral. Build your mind, because that's your attack zone. Well, once again, please like, share the page, and subscribe. Many of you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, just subscribe to the video. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Many of you have joined my life coaching process, and I'm getting answers and emails saying that you really, really, really love it. So those of you who think that you need coaching through this, you need someone to understand, someone who's familiar with this zone, because most people don't understand, so they think something is wrong with you, because your narc outside look heavenly, and on the inside look demonic. So you need help, because some of you are still in it and you are being bent to you don't know who you are anymore. I give life coaching classes, so let's get involved. If you want me, Destiny Helper, please write me at destinyhelper12s@gmail.com. Destiny Helper 12s@gmail.com. Let's see where we go with this. If you have a cerebral, build your mind. Your mind is their place of attack, and it's different than the way other narcissists deal with it. They're coming in with full load of gear to break you down, because your mind has to be sound. They've studied the retraction. They've studied transcription. They studied how the neural nets work. They've studied you. But they study you cerebrally, and they attack you cerebrally. That's what you have to build cerebrally, so you can be able to handle this battle and to protect everything that's in your care. Well, once again, it's always a pleasure coming to you. Continue to write me. Continue to send me those emails. Continue to send me those questions. The next one we're going to deal with is the malignant narcissist. Then we're going to go to the covert and overt. Then we're going to go to the lower, middle, greater class. And then we're going to switch over and go right back to supernova. And the supernova is the empath. The empath, we're going to start with the regular empath, and we're going to build up to the super empath. There's a big difference. The super empath is an empath that has grown up. and they grown up in power, they grown up in knowledge, they grown up in understanding, and they are loaded fuel. They are just a copious amount of fuel. They are a service station themselves, and some of them is equivalent to several service stations, and that's why the narcissists want them, and that's why only the greater narcissists can handle them, because they cannot handle the super empath. They're too powerful for a lower narcissist, because a super empath, once the lower narcissist get violent, so does the super empath. But it costs them more to release power that is on an illegal structure, which we would talk about. And I pray that these teachings are continually blessing you. Thank you so much. Like I said before, continue those emails, continue to send me those questions, and these are the questions, and this is why I'm going to the line of video that I'm going to answering those questions. And when I get more letters on the subject, then I take that subject and I give attention to that subject. So we are listening to the malignant narcissist for the next video, and I'm telling you, those of you who are with someone that's violent, sociopath, psychopathic, just satanic, you want to hear these videos, because you may need to get yourself to safety, and get your children to safety is necessary, because the way their character is. I don't want to go into that. So we will see you next time, and thank you so much. Keep writing me, keep sending in those questions. Let me know how you are blessed by these videos, and I pray this is a good one for you. I'm Helen Sattler, your destiny helper. See you next time.